Welcome back to another walkthrough tutorial. I'm going to bring you guys through how I approach doing lying hamstring curls so you can feel everything in your hamstrings. So I'm going to bring you guys through my approach to how I get the muscle-mind connection strong in my hamstrings. If you do this, you'll feel your hamstrings that much more for yourself as well too, doing lying hamstring curls. So let's just go over here to lying hamstring curls. Okay, so the biggest advocate for you to feel your hamstrings is your ability to keep your hips extended, right? So here's my hips basically back and they're going forward, right? We don't want to tuck hips, not doing that. I'm basically kind of like squeezing glutes. So if I was at the top of a squat and I'm all the way up and I get to the top, here's where I'm fully extended. So my hips are straight. There's no like flexion in my hip, right? There's nothing of this happening. It's not doing this. It's here. My hips, like my hip flexors right now are locked in. I can feel my legs tight from here all the way to my knees. Now I'm not locking my knees out. I've just completely extended my hips. So I'm in this position. So you should feel right now your hips tight from here. Now we want to continue this feeling and transfer it to this. And this is what we have happen for the most part. And you're still working hamstrings because in order to flex your knee, to do this, my hamstring is gonna work no matter what. No matter what. Like you can't be like, you can do this and be like, I can't feel my hamstrings, which is like mind-boggling to me. It's like, just think about this. But I get it, right? Because if you watch the way I'm doing this right now, my knee's staying in front of my body and my hips are kind of flexed a bit. So even just doing this, I'm gonna lose a bit of connection because I'm not focusing on this. Now, what we can do is, easy one for you guys right now, I'm gonna stand straight. I'm basically like this way. I'm gonna perk myself right up, nice and perky. Just say you're a marionette. Just say you're Pinocchio. And part of the hook's right here and you're like that, there you go. So I'm here and I'm gonna put my foot, I want my knee to line up behind the other knee. Right? So you can see I'm like kind of back like this. My hips are still like flexed forward, or not flexed, extended. Right? I'm pushing my hips forward. Now, if you keep your leg like this and keep your knee behind the back knee and then hold on to something if you have knee balance, and then you just try to lift up without letting your hips go forward, keeping your hips pushed back and pull your hamstring up or flex at your knee, you're gonna feel like your hamstring here. You should feel this like right away, and like all this down here, all activated just from doing this. I'm not even fully flexed, and for me to do it more, it's even tighter. Maybe you can see the bulge through my pants.
Oh my gosh, pause!
And I'm talking about the bulge in the back. Keep in mind of the gutter. I'm talking hamstrings here, guys. I will feel less, do it with me, if I start to flex this knee forward. You feel that the connection is not as tight anymore, not at all. Well, that's exactly what happens when we're doing hamstring curls. We have this bend here. So most part, we get into a hamstring machine. Now, this is a home bench, not the one at the gym. The first thing people do is they do this. They struggle and it's this. Right, the butt comes up. Because you're stronger here. Your body wants to do the easiest thing possible. It doesn't mean the easiest thing is the most efficient thing. It just means trying to do the easiest thing. So wherever the body can naturally recruit more muscle to help with the lift is going to do just that. So you have this thing here and it goes down. The first thing that happens is the butt pops up. Yeah, for sure. I'm getting a really good contraction because in order for me to flex my knee, my hamstrings have to work. It's impossible for my hamstrings to not do anything if I do this. The only problem is the second that I do this with my hips, I've already shortened the muscle more and my range of motion is off and I'm pulling my glutes into the equation. My glutes do hip extension and hip flexion. They're gonna do this to me and they're gonna do this to me, right? This and this. The reason why we can sit down is because we add in the knee flexion with a hip flexion. The hamstrings and the quads aren't doing squat. Y'all will be pedantic, they're gonna be really pedantic right now, but if I just do hip flexion extension, hip flexion, hip extension. Hamstrings do have a little piece in there. For the majority of it, it's glutes doing this and glutes doing this with a little bit of rector and a little bit of hamstring. So when I do this, I've now put my center of mass or my butt closer to the action point, which is shortening the range of motion. When I'm doing a hamstring curl, and I'll show you what I do, literally, on any machine, whether it's a home bench or if it's a sweet machine in the gym for hamstring curls. I'll go on to any machine, I will almost lock my legs out in a sense, right? Now this damn thing was in the way, but either way, I will sit here like this, right? I'll hit my glutes are, don't do this looking anybody in the eye. Don't get any eye contact with anybody. You will end up kicked out of any gym, and there's no Joy Swole that's gonna save you from that. If you're doing one of these, like Johnny told me to do this, and you're looking them dead in the eye like this, you're getting in trouble. So don't. Look your ass straight in the mirror. Let's just make sure we're looking at Johnny, Jim, Crystal, Steven, Tiffany, I don't know, whoever is in the mirror, you're looking at them, you yourself, and you're here, right? I'm pushing, bending my glutes to the ground, to the bench, right? I'm almost like squeezing my butt cheeks. I am actually. I'm squeezing my cheeks together. That makes it easy for you. You're trying to crack some nuts. Just squeeze your glutes together, man. I was gonna add that thing like, you know, the buddy that's always punched you in the stomach? Well, you got another buddy that's always trying to stick his finger in your butt.
Oh, hell no.
I grew up with hockey players and football players, so look, you can't blame me for my sick mind. Pretend your buddy's trying to punch you in the stomach and put his finger in your butt, and you're like this, and you're completely flat. Right here, I'm flat. And if I let my weight go down, the hamstring comes up already. I don't wanna do this and get in here, and then, all right, now I'm starting, right? That's just how I get in. I don't go in that slow. It's very quick, right? Because I'm not trying to be sensual with this shit, but I'm gonna show you how I do this, right? So you guys don't think I'm a creep at the gym. I walk in real manly. Hamstrings, yes, that makes, you using this? How many, can I get in the set? Perfect, brother, appreciate it. And then I don't look at him anymore. I keep my eye contact away from his ass. And then I go like this, and I'll be like this. I'll do that. That's how I will be. Now, when I'm on this thing, regardless, say you don't do that, and your gym's way too crowded and people watch you too much. If you're in, you set yourself up and you get yourself in, you know, your pads where it should be in terms of like by your, like right above your Achilles or, you know, right there. You're gonna drive your pelvis into the bench, right? You're gonna drive your pelvis into the bench, you're gonna squeeze the glutes almost. And that's gonna keep all that tension on your hamstrings. And then from here, whether you're plantar flex or dorsal flex, you're gonna pull up while trying to maintain your hips into the bench. You're still trying to drive into your, on the way down, and you're driving in. Like I'll, at the end of my rep, I'll let it flex down, right? I'll let it pull me, stretch me out from here, and then that first lift is gonna go from here and pulling in. And I'm gonna drive my hips to the bench while my hamstrings are lengthening, long stretch. I'll add that little nuance in there. You don't have to do it. If you're more advanced and you can control your body that way, yeah. What I'm doing basically is stretching my lower back, stretching my glutes out, stretching my hamstrings, pushing my legs further, and then I'm driving my hips into the bench, and then hamstrings coming up, right? I do that because this bench, this home bench, is just flat. Most, if not almost like all, lying hamstring benches, or machines, sorry, have this little drop off like this, right? It might bring you up here. My favorite one, it's like this, and then it drops off. So it puts you in an optimal position for you to have your hips in a more advantageous position, right? It's easier for you to actually flex your hamstrings, or for you to extend your hips or drive your hips into the ground, into the bench when you have that little bit of a, you know, bend. For me, I'll do this, or I'll even crazier, and I'll lower this. And that will do it almost for me in a sense where when I'm here again, I'm here, let my hips drop first. And then I'm here, and then same thing, pulling up. Let it stretch and pull. Now for you guys who are beginners, just do your best. Get a weight. You do not need a lot of heavy weight, because as soon as you do this technique, you're gonna be like, damn, John, I gotta take off like half the weight. I don't know how many times someone said this to me every time I coach them or I train them. Your focus is, men and women, keep your pelvis on the flat of this. Make sure it's flat. How are we doing that? We're driving our hips down, and just for more engagement, we're gonna squeeze the glutes. Because when we squeeze the glutes, we're actually creating hip extension and pelvic tilt as well too, right? So we're almost like pulling our pelvis underneath us when we're engaging our glutes, and now we're flat. So from here, my goal is to keep my hips on the bench on the way down and on the way up. And that's how you're gonna feel your hamstrings the entire time. You can literally go this slow just so you can feel it. But just from this little bit away here, and me just staying engaged, this is making everything feel that much more better, engaged, locked in, right? I feel locked in right now and pulling from here. You can do it plantar flex. When you do it plantar flex, you're gonna be doing even less weight. I'll do a full video on why plantar flex is a little harder. But again, this would be similar to doing like a lying dumbbell hamstring curl. But again, even if you're doing a lying dumbbell hamstring curl, same thing. Your primary goal is to keep your hips driven into the bench. Now, one last thing, don't forget your core. Okay, so while I'm keeping my hips driven in, my core, if you can see right away when I go into this, I'm here. My core is engaged this entire time. So I'm not just like trying to like wrench my hips and like extend my back. My core is engaged from here. This entire lift is originating from like here. Like I'm stable throughout my torso when I'm locked in. So whether I have, this bench or a machine, everything is locked in. So if I'm here, I'm either like this or whatever it is, I'm locked in here. And then my core is tight. So when I'm pulling, this thing's engaged. Because if it's not, then we're just gonna wrench our lower back, and that's when you're like, Johnny told me to do this technique and my back hurts. It sucks. It's gonna if you don't engage your core. I'm pushing my hips through, engaging my core when I'm pulling. Right? Everything from here, if you look, is engaged. Anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed the video. If you would like me to break down this even more, let me know in the comment section below. Or what other exercise do you want me to break down like this? Let me know in the comment section below. And until next time, guys, you know how it is. Iron sharpens iron. Progressive overload your life. In the meantime, keep gym chasing. Peace.